Hello and welcome to our first ever IELLO Keynote presentation. I'm Stefan, CEO of IELLO USA, coming to you from sunny Santa Barbara, California. Today it is my great pleasure to introduce 4 new games to the IELLO catalog. 2 releasing today at your friendly local game store and 2 to come in December. First, Master World from our Canadian friends at Masque is a clever deduction game. Then we will talk about Kitara from our own design studio as a light drafting and area control strategy game. And from our brand new partners at Vesuvius Media, also from Canada, Pacific Rail, our first train game, and 7 Fall, first in a series of 4 titles. Let's get started with Master World. Master World is available today for $22.99 at your local game store. Set in the mythical African empire of Kitara, our next game features legendary warriors riding fantastic creatures in the conquest of virgin territory. Joining us today from San Francisco, please welcome the designer of Kitara, Eric Vogel.
Hi everyone, I'm Eric B. Vogel and this is my new game Kitara. Kitara involves elements of card drafting, point-to-point movement, direct player combat. Every turn players draft a card from the card row and add it to their empire. New cards give them things like the ability to choose from more cards on later turns, new pieces for their empire, new pawns, gives them more movement points, victory points. Combat in this game is non-random. Superior numbers always win in combat. And there are a lot of tactical decisions as players advance and retreat throughout the turn. There are 3 different kinds of pawns, meeples in the game. So these pawns give you secret victory point tokens. When you use them in combat, you get semi-random victory point tokens. These pieces, the master animal pawns, give you victory points when you occupy ruin spaces with them. These pawns, the warriors, are what let you keep your cards in your card display from turn to turn when you occupy the savanna territories with them. The game is about 45 minutes long, and you can see it has really beautiful art by Miguel Coimbra. So please, I hope you do get the chance to check it out. Thank you.
Kitara is also available today and retails for $34.99. IELLO takes pride in the design and quality of our games, and when we come across a publisher who shares our love of great games and unforgettable experiences, we are eager to work with them. I am honored to welcome another fantastic company to the IELLO family, and excited to have Vesuvius Media join us under the banner of companies that can say, "We know games." It is my great pleasure to introduce my friend and new partner, Konstantinos, President of Vesuvius Media.
Welcome to Vesuvius Media headquarters. Vesuvius Media is an indie company dedicated to creating great quality games. In the past 5 years, with the support of our crowdfunding community, we have managed to produce several really cool titles. During Canva 2020, we had the chance to meet with Stefan from IELLO USA, and we immediately hit it off. Both companies share the similar type of visions about the products they wish to bring to the market and how they wish to grow. Vesuvius Media has a robust catalog of games, and IELLO USA can provide distribution network that we lack. It seems like the perfect match, so we are very happy to officially announce the beginning of this awesome partnership. We are starting off with the release of 2 games for the Christmas season in US, Pacific Rails Inc. and the 7 Dwarfs Fall. Both games feature cool mechanics, great art, and easy to learn rules, which makes them perfect for a board game night with your friends.
Train games are a captivating category, and we are thrilled to announce our first railway adventures in Pacific Rail Inc.
In 1862, the Pacific Railroad Act chartered the Central Pacific and the Union Pacific Railroad companies, tasking them with building a transcontinental railroad. Over the next 7 years, the two companies raced towards each other, struggling against great risks, changing the face of the continent. On May 10, 1869, they finally meet, connecting the two coasts at Promontory, Utah. In Pacific Rails Inc., players are the presidents of their own railway company, with a contract to build a railroad from one side of the board to the other. To succeed, your workers need to gather resources like wood, gunpowder, and steel. Lobby Congress for funding. Hire specialists to help manufacture tracks, and then lay them on the map, placing bridges, tunnels, rails to travel through the harsh terrain. Your railway adventure begins now.
Seven Dwarfs Fall is the first in a series of 4 games featuring whimsical tribes of dwarves and their adventures. to us from Fort Wayne, Indiana, John will walk us through those two new exciting games.
Coming in December as part of the Vesuvius launch lineup, this is Pacific Rails. At an MSRP of only $40, Pacific Rails packs a ton of replayability and an amazing table presence into an absolutely stellar price point. The centerpiece of Pacific Rails is this giant game board, which is divided into two sections. A top section where we'll play our workers, and a bottom section, our map board. Let's look a little closer at those. This is an action spot, where we will put our workers so that they can activate city blocks. City blocks can do multiple things. Some city blocks provide resources, like this wood space, while other spaces allow you to use specialists. Specialists may gather resources or lay down tracks, but this specialist, the financier, does the most American thing anyone can think of. They lobby Congress to get Congress to give you things. Down here on the map board is where we'll lay our tracks, as well as build rail stations and telegraph stations. Each player will start out with one of their locomotives in a starting location on the right side of the board, and the second locomotive of their color in a starting location on the left side of the board. Throughout the game, we'll lay rails connecting these cities until we've connected the rails in our starting spot on each side of the board. Now, not all tracks are equal. The tracks we build on plains aren't the same as the tunnels we dig into the mountains or the bridges we build over water. With a box packed full of stellar components, Pacific Rails is going to look amazing on your game table. The yellow release of Pacific Rails features some of the deluxe components that were originally offered as Kickstarter exclusives and elevate the table presence of this title to another level, with beautiful locomotives, stunning telegraph poles, and detailed workers that are sure to make this game a hit from the moment fans get a chance to touch these components. Pacific Rails is coming from IELLO and Vesuvius Media this December in time for the holidays. It is for 2 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, and plays in between 45 and 60 minutes. Coming in December as the second part of our Vesuvius launch lineup, with an MSRP of $35, this is 7 Dwarfs Fall. With winter approaching, the dwarves must lay in supplies to best prepare for the cruel weather ahead. To gather those supplies, these dwarves will leave their campfires and journey out into the kingdoms. Out in the kingdoms, those dwarves may work the mines, where they'll gather precious gems like sapphires and emeralds. Or you may send your dwarves to battle the monsters who are mucking things up in your kingdom, like frost giants and forest dragons. As we gather gems and defeat monsters, our true goal is to make sure we lay in enough supplies to get through the winter. So we'll send our dwarves to the general store to trade those gems we mine for supplies we'll need when the land is covered in a blanket of snow. But 7 Dwarfs Fall isn't just about what we can accomplish, it's also about how we can mess with our opponents. We can send our dwarves into any kingdom tile and keep our opponents from completing their tasks, like on this mine, where a single dwarf of my color can prevent anyone else from getting 3 dwarves to work this space. We can also send our dwarves to the Ogre's Inn and gather up some ogre cards to discover great new ways to ruin the plans of those competing dwarf clans. The endgame is triggered when any player completes their 3rd goal, in any combination of trade goals or secret goals. When we get there, we tally up those victory points. 7 Dwarfs Fall is coming this December, in time for the holidays, from Vesuvius Media and IELLO USA. It's designed for 2 to 4 players, ages 12 and up, and plays in about 45 minutes.
At IELLO, we always have our players in mind every step of the way. We measure our success not only in sales, but most importantly in the feedback we get from you via our customer service, your emails, and our social media channels. We also have established strong relationship with our game distributors to make sure that on a release date like today, you find our new games at your friendly local game store. Don't forget to check Lucky, our kids line with games for age 4 to 7 and up, each featuring a different basic game mechanic to teach our little ones. Thank you for joining us, stay safe, and have a great day.